Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
For a long time, Will Smith seemed untouchable. He wasn't just another celebrity, he was the kind of name studios built entire schedules around. A safe choice. The face attached to massive budgets because audiences always showed up. Families approved, and the brand stayed clean. He was funny without going too far, emotional without seeming unstable, and charismatic without feeling forced. Parents trusted him. Kids looked up to him. From major franchises to inspirational dramas, he didn't just appear in hits, he represented the idea of hits. He became a symbol of success, positivity, and a version of Hollywood that promised you could be famous and still feel safe. Then that image began to change. Not overnight. Not because of a single moment. It shifted slowly, like a fracture spreading under the surface. A reputation chipping away piece by piece until the public could no longer ignore it.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to talk about something really important. Earlier this year, I was hired to be a performer on a major tour with somebody who is huge in the industry. So I was excited, proud of myself for getting the opportunity. Unfortunately, some things happened, and I can't get into the details of exactly what that was, because it's already a legal issue right now. But the reason why I'm speaking out about this is because getting fired or getting blamed or shamed or threatened or anything like that, simply for reporting sexual misconduct or safety threats at work, is not okay. And I know that there's a lot of other people out there who have been afraid to speak up, and I understand. And if that's you, I see you. And that's pretty much it. More updates to come soon.
What makes the shift feel unsettling isn't just what happened, but how quickly someone once treated like a cultural good guy became a constant target. First came the jokes, then the memes, then headlines filled with claims and legal language no one ever expected to see tied to his name. Many people trace the public turning point back to the moment the world was pulled deep into his personal life. When Jada Pinkett Smith spoke publicly about an entanglement, it wasn't just celebrity gossip, it became a spectacle. Not because relationships are simple, but because the details played out in public, and the internet did what it always does. Suddenly, people weren't laughing with Will Smith anymore. They were laughing at him. Clips spread everywhere. Facial expressions were analyzed. Interviews replayed. Awkward moments became their own category of content. Frame by frame, the internet built a storyline that didn't match the confident persona he had spent decades constructing. Even then, many people still felt sympathy. They saw embarrassment, not a villain, until the Oscars. That moment wasn't just a mistake. It was a cultural shock. Watching Will Smith walk on stage and strike Chris Rock live didn't read as strength to many people. It read as a breaking point. In one sequence, the polished image collapsed. He went from Hollywood's golden boy to someone the public no longer knew how to defend. And yet, that still wasn't the end. Because after the memes, the debates, and the apology cycle, another story began surfacing. This one didn't rely on viral jokes, but on court filings, legal claims, and workplace allegations with real consequences. Not long ago, a video appeared online that most people barely noticed. It wasn't flashy and didn't come from a major creator. It was posted by a musician named Brian King Joseph, a professional violinist. In the video, Brian spoke carefully. No names, no direct accusations, just guarded language about being mistreated, feeling unsafe, and experiencing what he described as serious workplace issues while working around someone powerful in entertainment. At first, the clip didn't travel far. Brian wasn't a massive influencer with millions of followers, and without naming anyone, the algorithm moved on. Then court documents became public, and that's when this stopped being internet talk. According to those filings, Brian King Joseph formally filed a lawsuit naming Will Smith and a company tied to tour operations. The claims were detailed and immediately changed the tone of the conversation. In the lawsuit, Brian alleges he was brought into the orbit of a major tour project. Early on, he says the dynamic felt unusual, not standard mentoring, but a more personal focus involving private conversations, time alone, and reassurances about how special the connection was. At first, he reportedly interpreted it as flattering, a global star noticing his talent, a career moment you don't question. Over time, however, he claims the attention became uncomfortable. The filing describes professional boundaries blurring, with Brian alleging the interactions shifted in ways he didn't welcome. He also claims he felt increasingly isolated from the rest of the team as the situation escalated. The lawsuit then describes a key incident during a Las Vegas stop. Brian alleges he returned to his hotel room, booked and managed through tour staff, and immediately sensed something was wrong. Nothing appeared smashed and there was no obvious damage, but the room didn't look as it should have. The filing also references an earlier issue that day. Brian claims his bag containing his room key went missing during tour logistics. He later felt that detail was significant. Inside the room, he says he found items that weren't his and that he describes as deeply unsettling: a red backpack, wipes, a beer bottle, hospital discharge papers tied to someone else, and a prescription item labeled with a different person's name. According to the lawsuit, there was also a handwritten note addressed to him by name, implying someone intended to return. Brian says he interpreted this as alarming, suggesting an unwelcome situation he had not agreed to. The complaint states that he contacted hotel security, called a local non-emergency police line, and reported the situation to tour representatives. It further alleges that security footage was reviewed and did not show a clear outside intruder. Instead, the filing claims the footage reflected activity tied to authorized access connected to tour operations. Then came what Brian describes as the turning point. According to the complaint, when he raised concerns, the response was not support but dismissal. Not "let's look into this" or "are you okay," but outright disbelief. He alleges he was accused of fabricating the situation, pressured, and then informed the tour was moving in a different direction. Soon after, he says he was terminated and replaced. In the lawsuit's framing, this sequence isn't coincidence. A report is made, the report is challenged, and the person who spoke up is removed. Brian also describes serious emotional consequences, including anxiety, distress, and long-term psychological strain. Will Smith's legal team has responded with a firm denial, rejecting the allegations and stating they intend to contest the claims. That is where the legal side stands for now. Culturally, however, the story didn't land in isolation. Once a powerful name becomes tied to serious claims in court filings, the internet begins digging, connecting dots, resurfacing old clips, interviews, and claims that were previously ignored or dismissed. One thing matters here: public discussion is not the same as a court finding. Still, after the lawsuit became public, people began pointing to other high-profile cases and saying the structure felt familiar. Not identical, not the same evidence or people, but a recognizable pattern: access, influence, blurred professional boundaries, followed by denial and removal once someone speaks up. That's part of why Brian's filing hit harder than many expected. The lawsuit frames the situation as a process rather than a single moment, describing a gradual pattern of attention, emotional positioning, and alleged boundary testing. It suggests the Las Vegas incident wasn't accidental or merely confusing, but a turning point, a moment that forced a decision: stay quiet or push back. Brian claims that when he pushed back, the door closed. That aspect unsettled many people because similar response patterns have appeared in other celebrity disputes: strong denials, no admission, no acknowledgement, only statements through lawyers. And once a lawsuit enters the public record, the internet often resurfaces older claims previously treated as tabloid noise. One such claim circulating in online discussion involved a former associate speaking in an interview about Will Smith and actor Dwayne Martin.
You see the hundreds of celebrities that I've done business with, done things with. During the latter years of our relationship, Will was not my friend. I was his friend. I could tell you what goes on the inside. Everybody else is just speculation. And then I saw acts that when I walked in on.
Who'd you walk in on?
Him and Dwayne Martin. Door to Dwayne's dressing room, and that's when I see Dwayne and having sex with Will. There was a couch, and Will was bent over on the couch, and Dwayne was standing up, killing, like murder. It was there.
Will Smith's side has publicly rejected those claims, dismissing them as fabricated and financially motivated. That statement is not a verdict. It is part of a broader public conversation that intensifies whenever new legal filings appear. Some commentators then go further back, revisiting Will Smith's rise and pointing out how quickly doors opened for him at key moments. Will Smith has spoken openly about being reckless with money early in his career and later facing serious financial consequences. He has described a period when he was famous yet vulnerable. And in entertainment, vulnerability can attract powerful people who offer help that comes with expectations. That is where industry gatekeepers enter the discussion. One name that often appears in those conversations is Benny Medina, a major Hollywood figure with deep access. Over the years, various allegations have been made about Medina publicly, and those claims have been debated across media coverage and online commentary. They remain allegations, not findings of guilt, and different accounts exist. Still, when people talk about gatekeepers, his name frequently comes up in that broader context. Another name that surfaces in long-running Hollywood conversations is Quincy Jones, an iconic figure known for enormous influence. Some online narratives suggest that major career breakthroughs are not always about talent alone, but about access and relationships. There is no verified evidence of wrongdoing involving Will Smith and Jones. Still, speculation has circulated for decades, largely because of how power structures in entertainment are perceived by the public. What matters legally is what can be proven. Will Smith's team denies the allegations in Brian King Joseph's lawsuit, and the case will stand or fall on evidence, testimony, and what can be established through the legal process. Culturally, however, the damage is already in motion. Will Smith was never treated like just another celebrity. He was a symbol, the example people pointed to as proof that you could be a global superstar and still seem clean, stable, and family-friendly. Once that symbol cracks, people don't just question the allegations. They question the entire image. The marriage, the silence, the outbursts, the defensiveness. Everything starts to look different. So, is Will Smith guilty? We don't know. But has public perception changed? Absolutely. And whether this lawsuit succeeds or fails, it has already shifted how people see him. The pedestal is gone. The benefit of the doubt is thinner. And in today's culture, once public trust breaks, it rarely returns to what it was. This isn't about canceling anyone. It's about accountability in industries that often thrive on silence. If Brian King Joseph's claims are true, then his case becomes bigger than one celebrity. It becomes a story about how influence works, how careers can be controlled, and why people fear speaking up. And if the claims aren't supported, the lawsuit will collapse under scrutiny. Either way, the conversation isn't going away. For decades, Hollywood decided which stories were allowed to exist. Now, the internet plays a major role in deciding what spreads, what sticks, and what people keep questioning. So what do you think? Is this the start of another major reckoning in entertainment? Or is it a collision of rumor, resentment, and a fallen icon that people are projecting onto? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you found this breakdown interesting, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. This story is still unfolding, and we'll be watching how it develops. I'll see you in the next one.